All right, here's one of the next trees we're going to be working on. It's been worked on over the years, but never, ever completely styled. So what we're going to do today is style it out and then work on that gin. So exactly how do we pick the trees that we're going to use in the garden? Well, I'll tell you, okay? I go to the local wholesale nurseries and I walk up and down each aisle in the species of tree that I'm looking for to find the tree. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for branch placement. I'm looking for trunks if I can see them. And any type of movement in the trunk would also be wonderful for me to pick that as a tree. So 85 to 90% of the trees in the garden came here as a 3, 5, 7, 10, or 15 gallon tree. They could have been, like you've heard me say before, 8, 10, 12 foot tall. We reduced them in size and then started turning them into a bonsai. That is so key though for the size of the tree that you start with. And unless it's a specialty tree, like a tree you can't find, I try to shy away from 1 gallons. Unless it's a training tool or a Kishu Shimpaku or a variety that I might be looking for. But all the rest of them need to be in 3, 5, 7, 10, 15 gallon trees or tubs. 15 gallon pots. Because then you have a base to work with. You'll sit there, okay, this is the base of a tree. You'll sit there for years looking at a stick. I'm not talking a few years. 7, 10 years looking at a stick. That was an example of a stick, of a base of a tree grow. You get a 3, 5, 7 gallon tree, you have a lot more of a tree to work with. You cannot add as much movement to one that's big. If you're trying to add movement to a younger tree, then yes, you can start with a 1 gallon. However, you can find trees that still have good movement in those sizes. So that is where we start. And I need to tell you that because 85 to 90% of all the trees in the garden started as a wholesale nursery plant. Not some plant, that I spent thousands of dollars for and then turned it into a tree. Because we have about 500-600 trees at different stages of development for our students to learn on. And so that is the way that we work here in the garden. On to our next tree. So in the last few videos, or maybe during the videos you've watched, you'll hear me say, I have no clue on what I'm going to do or how I'm going to style a tree. This tree is different. So this has been worked on. It's never been completely styled. However, it's been worked on by our 3rd and 4th year students. And they gave it some movement. I remember in the process of this tree, it was really a unique tree. And what we're going to do with this, we had some crossing branches. And so I suggested that we make these into deadwood and gin. And that's what we did. And then it's actually just sat around for about 2 years. So I'm going to finish this tree up today and style it. Maybe change angle a little bit. We shall see. I love this. It's a combination of windswept, semi-cascade, cascade. Anyway, we will see how it turns out. All right, stay tuned. So, the first thing I'm going to do before I begin wiring, like I've done in the other trees, is I'm going to clean the bottoms. We already know what the top and the bottom mostly of these branches are. This branch right here, I'm gonna bring over into here and make that the top. But anyway, so that I might thin last, but all the rest I'm gonna go ahead and go and thin right now. And then, yeah, we'll look at how this looks with some different angles. All right. All right, well, I finished cleaning what I wanted to clean, and I'm going to try some different angles for how I want to style. I sort of like this at this angle, more like that. So I'll probably put another piece of wood underneath here when I style, and that'll be the angle that I'm going for. All right. Stay tuned. Okay, well, we are about 60% done, and I have decided I'm going to take this branch off right here, flush. And that should leave me with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 individual pads. And so this is where we are right now. It's coming along. I've had a lot of fun doing this tree. Just sitting back, looking at it, figuring out different angles and styles. Yeah. All right, I'll show you when I'm all done. Okay, I'm about 75% done, and I'm contemplating whether to keep that very top or take it off. So as of right now, I'm probably just going to leave it, but if I do take it off in the future, I'll probably gin it in the same lines as the deadwood that was done 2 or 3 years ago. All right, we're getting there. Here, let me turn this around before I finish it up. Well, I hope you can see this in the photo, or in the picture, in the video. Hope you can see this in the video. Yeah, I made a few little pads here and there. I use the direction of the deadwood as inspiration to style the tree. And this is what I've come up with. It's very avant-garde, very unique. And there's a lot of options. I could deadwood this portion and just have this as a tree. But I think in keeping with that deadwood, we just styled it to where it really took on a sort of a windswept semi-cascade look. All right, well, we will see you on the next tree. And this is, I'm only partial done with this. Even though this is my initial style, there's a lot more to do on this. So I'm gonna have fun styling it in the future. All right, take care. See you on the next tree.